Fitness is a lifestyle. It's like once you start this, it's forever. What's the point of getting to your goal just for you to fall off and start back at square one? There are plenty of days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to eat my meal plans. Like, I just want to lay in bed. When you have a dream and a vision for yourself and you have goals, you have to put that on the back burner. There's going to be some sacrifices.
It's a different environment now than what it was 30, 40 years ago.
As a man, your value, at least to society, is based off of what can you provide. Like when somebody comes to you, they don't care about the price. They just want to know, can you help them get the job done? Yes or no?
Don Lee, thank you so much for coming out today and being on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to talk to you about personal training fitness, and I'm really excited to get into your own business that you just created, being a personal trainer. It's exciting stuff for me, man, but thank you for coming on.
Yo, thank you for having me. I just want to take the quick second to say thank you. This is my first time on a podcast, my first experience. So it's been amazing so far. Again, like I said, I want to thank you for the opportunity because I know these aren't just given out. So it means a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's my pleasure. Again, this podcast was created because I wanted to be able to tell people that they can take control of their life. And especially for people in our age group, usually it comes down to your fitness and your finances. Whatever I can do to get the message out there, especially to young entrepreneurs in the Bay Area who may not be able to get their voice out there.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to do it. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
So before we begin, how about you give the audience a quick 30-second spiel about who you are, what you're doing now, and kind of how you got into it?
My name is Donovan. I'm 24 and I'm currently a personal trainer, obviously. I got into fitness because it was around COVID 2020. Literally just got out the shower one day and I was just looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, things got to change, Like I was fairly skinny, about 165 pounds, but I had a belly, if that makes sense. So it was like my frame was skinny, but I kind of had a belly. So I was just looking at myself and was just like, I wanted more, Like it's time to stop being so lazy, take accountability and just improve myself. Not only the physical side, but mentally, spiritually, financially, all aspects of life.
Wow. So would you consider yourself a gym nut before that, or you had never really prioritized working out?
I grew up as an athlete. My first sport was soccer. After that, I got introduced into tackle football around 10, 11 years old. Played that up until high school, graduated at 18. So I played football for about 8 years. After I graduated, I didn't play sports anymore. Took some time off, got into the real world, started going to school, focusing on work, and then kind of let myself slip. Like I said, and then COVID came around. Everybody was on lockdown. And just like me, and I'm sure many others, I started gaining weight, losing myself physically. And then that's when I got up until that point, like I had mentioned about me being in a bathroom and looking at myself. And I was just like, things got to change, So went from there.
And you went to Hayward High.
I did.
And we were talking about this earlier. So we both grew up in the same city, Hayward.
Yeah.
And you are at what I would consider my rival high school because I went to Mount Eden. And when I was there, our football team, I think, won one game. And Hayward High was always the team that just outbeat us. And we always joke it's because they're in the hills. They get all the good stuff, all the alumni. I forgot their names who went to Hayward High.
Yeah.
Famous people. So, of course, they're getting all the funding. And we're like, they get everything. So there's always that healthy rivalry.
Well, times definitely have changed because my time in high school, it was the complete opposite. You guys were like the team to beat, unfortunately.
Apparently.
As bad as it pains me to say that, we couldn't beat you guys. Like my freshman year, we went 0-10. Sophomore year, we couldn't beat you guys. I believe you guys beat us by touchdown.
Was it?
3 points to a touchdown, something like that. Senior year, you guys beat us again. So it just wasn't.
So somebody from Mount Eden graduated, made a big name of themselves, and probably dumped a bunch of money into the football team because something changed.
Yeah, something changed.
So how was that a routine like when you were in high school? Just the mentality of being with the guys and working out together, and how was that for you?
Oh man, it was amazing. It was a real brotherhood. Like a lot of the guys to this day, we still keep in contact. Obviously we all have our own lives.
Yeah.
Some people from the team have families now, so we try to keep in touch when we can. But for the most part, it was really good. Like we had a really close bond, whenever we wanted to talk about like life, like serious things outside of football, we always had each other. We always joked around, typical brotherhood.
Yeah.
We held each other accountable. made sure our grades were good, made sure we were able to play, things like that. So if we were slipping in any area, whether it was something on the field we needed to get better at, in the classroom, let's say one of our teammates are just in class acting out, and that makes the whole team look bad. So
Well, that's a special thing, man. I mean, I remember it in high school, and I wasn't on the team, but just the idea of being with the guys together and sort of forming that whole thing of how we're going to make ourselves better in the future.
Yeah.
But specifically for you, how was the weight training routine like? Was this something that was a new experience for you, getting into heavier weights with what football needs you to be?
It definitely was a new experience, and I didn't like it at first, but I knew that it was necessary in order to improve. So, but over time, like, it genuinely became a passion of mine. Like, before, I would go into it with the mindset of, oh, we have to live. And then, as you start seeing progress and you get stronger and your form is improving, you're getting better, you're like, okay. And then you start to, grow consistency with it. You notice improvements physically in your form. And then you just start to grow a passion for it. So
you sort of got motivated by the fact that I have to do this hard work, but actually now I'm seeing the results. I'm feeling better. It's like, nah, I want to keep going, man.
It always starts off as motivation, but I try to be as real as I can when I tell people motivation doesn't always last. It does not always last. There are plenty of days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to eat my meal plans. Like, I just want to lay in bed, or, I want to play Call of Duty for a couple hours, but you can't. Like, when you have a dream and a vision for yourself and you have goals, you have to put that on the back burner. There's going to be some sacrifices.
Yes, exactly. So the pandemic hit, and you were how old at the time? 2020?
2020, I was 21.
21 years old.
I had just turned 21 because my birthday's in June. So I was 20 turning 21. Sorry.
So how did that, because it affected everybody differently. How did that really throw you out of the loop where you said, hey, I'm just sort of letting myself go, didn't really have the motivation to get in shape? What was it?
At that time specifically, it was really just work. At the time I was working, the only job that was really available, because a lot of places got closed down. So I still needed money. At the time, I was working at a warehouse on the port of Oakland, and I was working like 16-hour days. So by the time my 16-hour shift is up, I would get off, and I'm like, I don't want to do anything else but go home. Like, I only have time to go to sleep, eat, take a shower, and then back at it again tomorrow. So
then during the pandemic, what was it that said, okay, something's got to change? Was it you were just feeling lethargic? Was it you just the idea you're stuck in the house all day? What was it that was coming in your mind?
It was just a mix of physical, mental, just knowing that I wanted better for myself, not knowing what it was at the moment. But I kind of always had a feeling that I was destined for something. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how that sounds, but it's just like, it was just a gut feeling. Like, I knew I was destined for more. I just had to figure out what it was. Like, how can I give back to people? How can I make the world a better place?
That's actually very common. I'm just going to tie it into this whole show here is you reach a point, especially for guys, where you need a purpose. Yeah. And that purpose doesn't always mean that's my full-time job. You could be making $500,000 a year as a lawyer, and it pays the bills and you're doing what you got to do. But you may also feel like this doesn't really... I'm missing something. Yeah. Like, I'm doing a good job. I'm making good money. On paper, I should be satisfied, happy. But internally, you're like, there's something. We're innately brought up to help others. Yeah. So some of the happiest people or more fulfilled people are the ones who are giving back to other people, like being a personal trainer, volunteer. That's why you see a lot of billionaires as they get older, they're giving their money away. They're like, I got causes, I'm trying to help other people. That brings us more fulfillment than does how many zeros we have in our bank account.
That's true.
To a certain extent. I mean, you have to have enough money in the bank to pay the bills. But once you're at that point, the amount that you make above that brings you smaller and smaller value on the return. So then you start thinking, am I going to keep busting my rear end to make more and more money that I don't necessarily need? Or is there something else that I want to do that's going to help other people that gives me more of a passion, like what we're having here? Yeah. Everything that I do here is to help others. Get your information out there so the listeners can get the best information possible, make their own choices. Right. And if just one person makes that switch, well, it's a fulfillment to me, even if they never tell me. Yeah. It's still something that brings me a lot of passion and joy. So you hitting that at an earlier stage in life is very impressive, because usually we don't hit that till we're in our mid-30s. Like, all right, now what do I do with myself? You start realizing you just got caught up in this whole job thing, and now what I do? Yeah, because to further your point, there's definitely a burden of performance on men. Being a
teenager, I kind of realized that early, and I was just like, I have to do something, like as a man in today's society, especially, you're really looked at as what value can you bring to the world. And as sad as that is to say, it's like, that's what most people look at you as. Like, that's your value as a man. It's like, what have you done to make the world a better place? Like I said, I just always knew I was destined for more. I kind of feel like that's why I was kind of just on myself so much about it. And people always tell me all the time, they're like, you're young. Like, why are you stressing over things like this? And I'm like, because this is important. It's like, I want to build a legacy, a future, something to leave my kids with, I don't want to just, the person I am, I just have higher expectations of myself, higher standards. So, I hold myself to a certain standard, hold myself accountable. So
that's impressive, man. And you don't compare yourself to others. What they're doing, but their life is great. Maybe on paper they have the ideal life, but behind the scenes you don't know what's going on.
Exactly. And that's a big thing with social media. It's like, I'm not on that whole hype train. I mean, I hop on social media maybe like 10 minutes. I'll watch a couple reels, laugh a little bit, and I'm off. I understand that that's not reality. Everybody on social media is only going to post the things that make their life look better. Nobody's going to hop on social media and post all of the negatives about their life, So I always keep that in my mind. And like you said, to further your point, I don't compare myself to others. Everybody has their own road in life. The timings are going to be different. Like, there's millionaires in the world right now that are my age, and then me. I'm not a millionaire yet, but 5 years from now I could be. So everybody's timeline is different, and I understand that. So I just keep my head down. I stay focused and focus on the things that I can control.
That's great, because even the ones who are your age or younger, who are millionaires or billionaires, what happened to FTX, that whole crypto thing?
Yeah,
on paper, these guys are rich.
They're rich,
and then like that, in one day, it's all gone, and people are going to prison because of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't have experience with money, you typically blow it faster. So like me personally, I've been just investing in a lot of courses, like master classes, seminars, books, teaching me and educating myself on like financial literacy, just getting better at that, because it's not really about how much money you make, but what you keep, and then what you do with what you keep.
Yeah, you're speaking wisdom beyond your years. Again, usually we don't figure this out. I didn't figure it out until I was in my early to mid 30s. Like, these pieces are starting to come together. So the fact that you're a decade ahead of me in that's very impressive. Yeah. Where you're at when you're my age is going to be a lot farther than where I'm at now, because you're starting the process. Just the fact that you're aware of it, that you have to invest in your finances and your physical fitness and your mental health. We live in the world where everybody's so concerned about, it's a thing. People are more depressed. They're taking pills.
Man.
They're so focused on what social media says, and it's screwing everybody else up. Oh, by the way, they're also not going to the gym. More than likely, they're up to their neck in debt, and it just becomes a revolving door or a big snowball. It just tends to get bigger until you can stop it, reset yourself, realize you're not comparing yourself to other people, and then moving forward.
Yeah, it's like everybody's in a race, man. Like, you go outside and you just look around, and it's like nobody just stops and takes the time to just practice gratitude. It's just like the position you're in now, 3 years ago, you were wishing you were there. So it's like, you just got to take the time to just be grounded, understand that like you should just be grateful what you have in life at this moment. Because it's like, I tell myself every single day, things could be worse. They really could. Like, some people are stressing over financial things, which I get it. Times are hard now. Some people stress over like relationships or whatever the case is. It's so many things that truly don't really matter. Like, if you sit down and think about it, it's like 10 years from now, you're not even gonna be stressing over this.
You'd be surprised. You'd
be surprised.
Time flies really fast.
So it's like, you just got to remember to just live in the moment, enjoy the moment. Even if you're in a point in your life where things seem hard and things just seem like they're not going to turn around for you, just keep working, control what you can control. So.
Good advice, man. And it's good for a lot of younger people to hear that, especially coming from somebody that's seen it and has done it and has lived it and already knows where they have to go. So let's get back into your personal training thing. So once you realize, hey, the pandemic happened, I have something that I want to give to others. What is that? And you realize as part of that, you want to increase your own physical fitness. What was the switch for you that said, I actually want to be a certified personal trainer. This is my jam. That's where I want to go.
It just felt so natural. Like, the first year and a half, 2 years, it was just me. It was just me. I committed to my own personal growth and physical fitness, just improving myself. And over time, I was like, why not? Why wouldn't I be able to help other people do this? And also, I was also getting a lot of, DMs, messages like, hey, do you train people? Are you a trainer? At the time, I wasn't. So I was like, no. They were like, do you plan on it? And I was like, at the time, no, I didn't. It was kind of just a me thing, wanting to improve myself. But I thought about it and I was like, I'm really good at this. And a lot of people seem like they're interested and they want the help. And me, I'm looking to help in any way I can. So I was like, it was kind of just a natural shift for me. It felt natural. It was something that I'm passionate about. Like you said, I don't look at it as a chore or anything. So it's like when I get up and go to the gym to go train my clients, sometimes I feel like I'm more excited than they are.
Yeah. So as you were developing this, and you got all your certifications out the way, did you want to specify or specialize in helping a specific type of client? Like, I want to help out guys who are into football, power lifters, or maybe I want to help out people who want to lose 10 pounds, or maybe I want to help out the busy mom who only has 10 minutes a day. Did you start thinking about specializing in an area, or you just wanted to just roll with it and see what you get?
Yeah, so originally I didn't have a game plan. The game plan really was to just roll with it and just see what I can get. But I found that that's not always the best strategy, because it's tricky. When you go based off of just generalities, like you just want to work with anybody, you can either end up working with people who are bad clients, meaning like they don't like to pay, or they don't pay on time, or they just always have something going on in their life to where they can't be consistent, or you end up working with people who look at you as if, oh, I might know you, or you don't seem like a big name yet, so they're expecting your prices to be cheap, things like that. So when you really narrow down your niche, it helps you eliminate all of that and work with the people who not only do you want to work with, but that they're coming in with the idea of, I want to change. So it's like they're going to come in with the mindset of, I'm here to change. Me personally, I work with men and women, but specifically the ones who want to either build muscle or lose fat. I specialize in both of those fields. Like right now, I have 2 clients. Their current goal is to lose weight and, put on a little more muscle, staying lean. And then I also have another few clients who their goal is to build muscle.
So I'll ask you a general question about this, because this is probably something that a typical client might ask you who's they're not familiar with the gym, couldn't name all the equipment in there, wouldn't even know the first place to start. They may come to you and say, Don, how do I get stronger? How do I build muscle and get stronger? What's the simplest way that you could explain to them how you would do that?
The most simplest way is step 1, diet. A lot of people think that they can outwork a bad diet. That's not the case at all. You can go to the gym, work out 7 days a week. You can be in there for 2 hours, 3 hours a day. But if your diet isn't clean, then your results aren't going to be. So when I say diet, I don't mean like you have to sit there and do a keto diet or just eat a super strict diet. But as long as your diet consists of whole foods majority, the rule that I follow and the rule that I have my clients follow is the 80-20 rule. If you can at least eat 80% clean, you can still go out and enjoy those foods that you love. I'm not one of those coaches that's like, no, you can only eat this, this, and this, because that's unrealistic. And anybody who follows a strict diet, typically they don't stick with it. It's hard. You wake up every day eating the same thing over and over. Like, it's hard. So
do you get people showing you photos like, hey, this is Instagram, this is IFBB champion, so forth. How do I get his body? How do I get the popping biceps and the abs that are showing out? Like, get me to that guy there. Do you explain to them that, okay, yeah, the guy is definitely taking care of himself. He's also a competitive bodybuilder.
Yeah.
If you want to get like that, this is what you don't see in that picture. This is his diet every day.
Yeah.
Do you really want to eat just boiled chicken breast and broccoli?
Exactly.
How long
rice.
do you think you can sustain? Exactly. How long do you think you can sustain that? And do you think he looks this way 365 when he's not training?
Yeah, no.
I mean, I've heard stories from guys who do that. They're like, I am so out of energy.
Yeah.
I can't. I need a little assistance, if you know what it means, to be able to keep myself awake. You're sick all the time. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Keep going.
Your body's literally depleted at that point. And a lot of people don't realize that, like, when you're in like stage form, like ready to step on stage, it's like your body fat percentage is so low. Like, it's insane. It's like, it takes a lot of strength for you to even stand up and pose. Like a lot of people don't realize how hard posing is. I tried posing. One of my boys, his name is Rip.
Rip?
Rip, like RIP. He's an aspiring bodybuilder. He's really cool, genuine guy. He's been teaching me like some posing tips and stuff. And even me, I didn't realize how hard that is. Like you have to hold each pose for 14 seconds. It's like if you sit there and flex for 14 seconds, it's like, it's a lot harder. And it's just, a lot of people don't realize the work it takes to look like that. It's like not only the hard work, but that takes years to get to that point with or without steroids. It's like, and that's another popular thing in the fitness industry is steroids. It's like back then it was kind of shamed, you know, but it's like nowadays people are being more honest about using it, which is a good thing. But nobody really talks about the negative side effects of it.
Yeah, everything comes at a cost. You know, you're going to get this result, but are you willing to pay the price that comes with when you take all those substances that are going to last you beyond that competition, beyond the photos that you take? You're still dealing with the after effects of taking those steroids.
Because even in today's time, like you look at a lot of the bodybuilders that are older now and they're having like a lot of health issues with their hearts, or it's very serious. It's like me, I don't have anything against people that use it. I just personally believe that I just don't see the point of it unless you plan on competing. Like if you're just an everyday gym goer who just is looking to get in shape, what's the point of it? It's like, why not just put the work in and just continue to be consistent? You'll still get there. It'll just take you a little longer.
Another thing is people easily forget until you tell them, if you want to be a competitive bodybuilder and you want that body, great. Are you prepared to spend 6 hours a day in the gym?
Yeah.
Back to backs or double days.
You
know, these guys and gals who are doing this, some of them they're sponsored. So they're getting paid to go work out.
Yeah.
They're getting free meal potentially, or somebody who's cooking their meals. Like it's not just I walk into the gym, I'm gonna look like that. It's behind the scenes, there's a lot that goes on there. And then you got to ask yourself, are you willing to make that step? Can you afford financially to put that much time and money into getting that body? Or you'll pick like some superhero movie like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans from Marvel. You're like, okay, I want that. Like, okay, do you want to pay for a nutritionist $20,000 a year or more? Do you want to pay for, and these movie studios are paying for all this stuff because they want the actors to look their best because they know it's going to generate the money. So they will pay for these actors and actresses to have all this stuff to make it easier. Yeah. Plus with a little assistance, but
it's costly on that. It's definitely costly. Like you said, you got to pay for the nutritionist, the training programs. You have to pay even to go step on stage. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that. I found that out recently. Like you have to pay for just your spot. You have to pay to get a tan. There's just so much that goes into it. Like it's definitely very pricey.
Jeez. So you were thinking about doing that. Is that how you know so much about it?
Yeah, that's how I know so much about it. I'm actually still interested. As of right now, my only concern is to just continue to work on my business and myself. Obviously, I still have a long ways to go as far as my physical. So I'm still, I don't know. I maybe want to try to train for like another year or two, try to put on a little more size, and then consider stepping on stage for my first time. But it's definitely a goal of mine. I just want to try the experience. I have a few buddies of mine that have actually tried it, and it seemed like a dope experience. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you probably know, and I'm pretty sure you tell your clients this is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Matter of fact, there really is never a finish line. You don't hit this point and say, great, I got 10% body fat, 18-inch biceps, and then that's it. It keeps on going.
I say that all the time. It's a lifestyle. And a lot of people don't like to further your point. It's like once they get to their goal, like most people would fall off. They just stop. And they don't understand fitness is a lifestyle. It's like once you start this, it's forever. Like you said, it's a marathon. It's because what's the point of getting to your goal just for you to fall off and start back at square one? It's like doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So getting back to the initial question, how a random person comes in, they ask you, I want to build muscle and I want to get stronger.
Okay.
That's all that they tell you. We already talked about step one, which is key, which is diet. What's the next thing you're going to tell somebody who isn't familiar with how gym routines work?
Step two, I would say either work with a coach or somehow find a way where you can have a structured training program, meaning you don't want to just go in the gym and just hit random body parts. I see it all the time, and it's not a knock, but like if you're coming in the gym and hitting arms 4 days a week, it's like you're neglecting so many other body parts. You have your shoulders, your chest, your back, your abs, your legs, all of your leg muscles. So having a structured training program will benefit you more, because not only do you have certain days where you train certain muscle groups, but for example, let's say on Monday you go in and hit chest and shoulders. On Tuesday, you go do a leg day. While you're doing that leg day, you're still giving time for your chest and shoulders to recover. So that way, by the time your next chest day comes around, you're ready to go. So having a structured program is important, and it also helps you keep track of your progress as far as how many reps you did, the weight you did, focusing on progressive overloading. Because, for example, I have a client who I started working with him last week. Last week, he was bench pressing 115 pounds. He did it for maybe like 7 reps. And this week, he did 9. So, it's an improvement. And you don't always have to up the weight, but more so focus on getting stronger. Because if you're getting stronger, you're building muscle. I mean, that's not always the case 100%, but it's a good indication. So,
well, this is a big thing that most people, 95% of people go to the gym probably don't realize the difference between strength training and hypertrophy.
Yeah.
And they go in thinking, I want the bigger muscles. They might be thinking, okay, that's hypertrophy, if they even know what that term is.
Yeah.
But they may be training strength and not realizing, wait, I may be getting stronger, but how come I don't have the big arms or the big pumped out chest? And is that something that you have to overcome at first with people to set the expectations? Like, first, let's educate you. This is the body that you say you want.
Yeah.
Okay, you realize that to train to get that way, if you want to get stronger, we got to train like this.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to lift more if it's about your job or it's about your hobby that you need to be physically stronger for. This is the route that we're going to go.
Yeah.
But that may not necessarily be physically the same way that you think you want to look.
Yeah.
Like if you're showing me pictures of Arnold back in the day, that he looks impressive, especially if you want to be
a beast.
Yeah. Like if you want to be Mr. Olympia, hey, kind of follow what he did. Does that necessarily mean he was the strongest he ever was?
Not at all.
So do you feel that you had to break that down to people first?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a difference in training for strength and training for hypertrophy, building muscle. So when training for strength, you want to focus more on lower reps, but a lot heavier weight. So again, for example, let's say you go into the gym first week, you throw on 225 on a bench, and let's say you can only do like 4 to 5. And then either that same week on your next session or the following week you go in, same weight. And let's say instead of 4 to 5, you can do 6 to 8. That's pretty much the layout right there. Hypertrophy, you want to focus more on the higher reps, but not too high. Because once you get to a certain rep range, maybe like 15 to 20, at that point, you're passing the hypertrophy stage and more so focusing on muscle endurance. Mm-hmm. So a good rep range for hypertrophy, in my personal opinion, that works for me and what works for my clients a lot would be 8 to 12. Mm-hmm. And if you want to train anywhere for strength, I would say 5 to 8, but just heavier weight, like I said before.
Now, do you see a difference between all your clients? For example, if you have a guy who's 20 to 25 years old, and he wants to gain muscle mass, he wants hypertrophy. Do you feel that maybe I have to train him differently than maybe the guy who's 35, 40 that maybe hasn't been in the gym as long? Our expectation is going to be different. Like, do we have to check everybody to say, here's where you're at in your life, physically, biologically, this is where you're at. This is what you can probably expect versus you over here.
Yeah.
And is there a difference between men and women and how you train them and what they're looking for versus some of the guys? What's been your experience with that?
Me, whenever I start working with someone new, regardless of if they're 20 to 25 or 34, 35, one of the first things I put them through is a mobility test and a strength test. I put them through a series of movements just to see where they're at, see which muscles are underdeveloped, see which are overdeveloped. And then from there, we go into testing their strength on a bunch of different exercises. So me, I'll start off with like all the main compound lifts, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, or some know it by a military press. We'll do a barbell row, your standard back squat, and I'll just go into that and basically test their strength, see where they're at, check out their form, and then from there we make adjustments based off of their training styles, like what their goal is to achieve. So if I have one guy who's testing for strength, I know his program is going to be different from another one of my clients who might be testing. He wants to train for hypertrophy. And to answer your question about men and women, I don't really train them differently, honestly. Like I said, I have both women and male clients. I train them the same, but obviously women aren't going to be as strong as the men. But I have some pretty strong clients that are women, though. Like,
I believe it.
They're pretty beastie, so it's like they can move some weight. So
Now, do you ever get the pushback like Dawn? Like, if I'm a woman, Dawn, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get big. So I don't want to lift that barbell because then I'm gonna get these guys' shoulders and then I'll look like a dude. Do you ever get that kind of pushback?
all the time. And it's like that's one of the biggest, I guess you could say, roadblocks I faced when it comes to working with women. Because like whenever I would do a consultation call, hop on and talk more about their goals, that's like one of the first things they would always say is, I don't want to be super big and look bulky. And I'm like, that's not the case at all. For women, their body reacts to it differently than it would for a man. Obviously, you're still going to put on muscle as a woman, but women don't have the same bone density, the same muscle mass as men. So it's going to affect their body differently, meaning like she's not going to look as big as a man. She's just going to look more so just really lean in shape. Obviously, she's going to have muscle on her, but she's not going to look like a Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Do you sometimes show pictures to some of your newer female clients like, hey, I trained this woman who's about your same size. Here's her before, maybe it's similar to where you're at now, and here's her after or 90 days later, and kind of go over, she lifts heavy, or she lifts the way that I'm training her to, and she does not look like the scary, bulky person that you may be thinking in your head that you're going to get if you start.
Yeah. And then once they see that and they understand that, they're like, oh, okay, well, then let's do it, because if you really think about it, outside of any sort of like cardio activity, you really kind of have to lift weights in order to get stronger and or build muscle. So I just try to get them to understand that it's like, as a woman, you're not going to look like a male bodybuilder unless that is strictly your goal. Like, you would have to physically go out and train like one, but just overall training and lifting weights, it's not going to make you super bulky and all muscular. Like, it's not the case at all.
What have been some of the biggest fitness trends that you've seen, especially recently, that people are coming in, I want to do this doesn't work, What have you seen in the world?
The two biggest trends in the fitness industry right now are either you're a CrossFitter or you're a bodybuilder. There's really no in between in today's time, which is crazy to me, because it's like, why can't you just train to be in shape? Why can't you just train to be an athlete, to have good movement, But in today's time, it's either you're really training to look like and or be a bodybuilder, or you're training for CrossFit or some sort of powerlifting. Me, I train like a bodybuilder, but I don't train my clients like that. That's just my personal training style. But when I go out and work with clients, we obviously strength train, but I don't have them doing bodybuilding routines, I mean, there's like stylist trends that everybody, like, you go into a commercial gym or even some private gyms, and it's like everybody kind of has the same style,
Gotcha. So even with that, do you ever have clients that watch, maybe they just show up into your gym and they watch you train and they're like, hey, Don, you never taught me how to do that. Can I do that? And then do you have to coach them and say, yeah, I can, but here's why I'm doing it. It's not just it's a new type of squat. I'm doing it because I'm specifically training a specific body part, because in my case, I may be wanting to compete. So my goals are different than what your got. Do you ever have to, kind of separate that?
Yeah, there's definitely been times like I'll be doing a certain movement and they'll be like, I've never seen that before. Like, why are you doing that? And I'll, like you said, I break it down to them and explain why I'm doing it, but I don't have them do it unless they're interested. I'll introduce them to the movement, help them work on their form as far as like the movement itself. But I'll leave it up to them if they want to continue it or like maybe add it to their program if they like it that much. But for the most part, I don't. Like I said, I keep my personal training styles away from how I train others, because obviously everybody's not coming to the gym to try to be a bodybuilder. So
yeah,
But yeah, so there's been certain movements, maybe like a variation of like a stiff dead leg, or if they see me do like a cable fly a certain way, or even on a pec deck machine, I'll have my hands or I'll grip it a certain way, and it's like people will see it and be like, huh, that's interesting. And I've had people literally come up to me in the gym, like people I have never even met before, and they'll be like, why'd you do it that way? And I'll explain it to them and I'll break it down, have him or her walk through it. And they'll be like, wow, like I never even knew I could do it this way, but I feel it so much more. Like, let's say it was a chest exercise. Like, I feel my chest so much more. And then from that point, it's like, not only did I just help somebody out, but I just made a new friend. I just built a whole new relationship. So it's like, whenever I go into the gym now, it's like, hey, and then we start chopping it up, talking, and like, how was your day? You know, getting to know each other more. So
it's a big thing. And I've talked about this with several personal trainers that I've had on here. And when you have a business like what you're doing,
yeah,
it's a competitive market. Personal trainers are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to stand out amongst the masses. Like, what makes you more special than somebody else? And people do revert back to nowadays social media.
Yeah.
If you got 1 million followers and you're a personal trainer, automatically that gives you some sort of credibility that what you're doing, I want to do because you have the credibility of these 1 million followers, which we don't even know if they're even real people at that point.
Exactly.
And people go with that. It's just a default thing of human nature. If everybody's over here, he must be doing it right or she must be doing it right.
Right.
So I have to follow them. And for 99% of the other personal trainers out there who don't have that type of exposure, people do get into this whole mindset of, well, are you the right one for me? Can you give me the bullet? What's your, what proof do you have? People start asking themselves a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And when it goes back down to how you build relationships with people, once people understand who you are and they believe in you, like they know why you're doing what you're doing, which goes back to your personal story and your own individual struggle and what motivates you to help people, things start to click more. Because once someone believes in you and they're on the same page, things just sort of flow. That's where trust forms. And once that trust forms, now you have somebody who's going to buy into the program. All the obstacles that they may have brought up earlier, like money or time, that tends to go away because they believe in you.
100%.
So when you tell them we're going to do this, it's like, Don, I trust you. We're going to go with it. I'm going to get the body that I know I'm going to get because I trust you. I believe in you.
Yeah.
Which makes you somebody that people want to keep going to. It's an incredible thing. And the more that you get your information out there and people get that sense from you, the more they're going to want to be a part of your personal training journey.
Yeah.
Have you sort of seen that with some of the clients that you've worked with?
I have. And truly, it's one of the best feelings in the world hearing that, like, they trust you. Like, when somebody comes to you with the mindset of they don't care about the price or whatever. Like, they just want to know what you offer. Can you help them get the job done? Yes or no? And it's really just comes down to that. So, the clients that I work with now, like, I've had them literally tell me, like, you put the work in yourself. I've been watching you for a while. Like, you clearly know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. So I trust you. And honestly, that's one of the best things you could ever hear as a personal trainer, because it just motivates you that much more to go harder for them, because at the end of the day, their success is my success and vice versa. That's what I'm doing this for, not only for myself, but I genuinely want to see other people be better versions of themselves. And it truly starts physically. I try to, like, beat that into people's heads. Like, it really does. It's like, if you can master your own self and, like, build that discipline, it's going to help you in other areas of life. And I didn't believe in myself until I started this fitness journey. It's like looking in the mirror, you become more motivated. You see changes in your body. And then that's like, okay, like, if I can be consistent and work hard and do this, what's stopping me from, starting this side hustle I've been thinking about, or what's starting me from opening a business or going after the job that I've been wanting, or going to school for this career field or whatever. Like, it truly motivates you. And fitness is so much deeper than just the physical. Like, for me personally, yeah, it looks good to take your shirt off and, have abs and a nice chest and all that, but it's so much more deeper than the physical. Like, it brings so much mental clarity to you. Like, you're more confident, you're more ambitious. You just feel more motivated to get things done. You have a bigger sense of purpose. You have more energy throughout your day. Like, it's just so much more benefits than the physical. The physicals are great, don't get me wrong, but there's so much more to it than that. And I try to get people to understand that. It's like, when you're coming in with the mindset of fitness and you wanting to improve yourself, you have to have a why. Because, again, circling back to earlier, you're not always going to be motivated. And there's going to be days where you wake up and you don't want to do anything. And that's when the discipline has to kick in. You're like, okay, I don't have the energy to do any of this, but I know that it's going to be better for me. And I know it's going to help me become one step closer to my ultimate goal. So I have to get up and do it.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. You wake up and you're like, I know I have to go, and I just got to drag myself out there. Even if it means I go do a different routine, at least you get to the gym.
And I'd be lying if I say there were some days where I didn't give into it. Oh, I'm sorry about the voice crack, but there'd be some days where I didn't get in. I would give into it. Like there'd just be some days where I would just be having such a bad day, and I'm just like I just need the day off, But then you wake up that next day, you have that reset, and then you're ready to go. So
that is awesome.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm a perfect person because I'm not. I wake up every day with the mindset of improving in my life somehow, whether that's my physical fitness, whether that's my business, whether that's intellectually reading a book, learning something new. I'm always looking to learn. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem shutting up and listening to somebody who's in a higher position than me because how else are you going to learn? You can't learn if you're talking. So
that's a good point. It's amazing how many people don't know that lesson. Like if you just stop and listen, like you're going to learn a lot more.
You'll be surprised how much more you learn by just listening. Like, especially from people that are in a higher position than you. It's crazy to me. I see it all the time. It's like people who are like average or whatever, don't have anything going on for them, but it's like they're talking to other people as if like they have these businesses and stuff like that, and they've already made it. And it's like, I'm not saying that to like try to shame them, but it's like, you haven't made it yet. I haven't made it. So it's like, why not be quiet and listen to what this person is telling you? They're in a position that you want to be in. So why not learn from them, learn from their mistakes? That way you can avoid those on your path. So
I'm guessing a lot of those guys you're thinking are probably in their 20s.
Yeah. It's early 20s because it's like me. I don't know. It's hard. Like I'm in a weird stage right now. I'm kind of just trying to find my tribe. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of men nowadays, they don't have the mindset. They don't have the ambition. They don't have the goals. And it's hard to really find that brotherhood of guys who are like-minded and want to be successful.
It is very difficult, and you're going to find out as you get older that pool of guys that you want to hang out with that motivate you, it gets smaller. It only gets
smaller. And so it's like...
And it's no disrespect to people because sometimes it's, hey, this guy got married, he's got kids, he moved away.
Yeah.
I'm happy for him.
Life happens,
Exactly.
And it's like, I understand it's not everybody's goal to be an entrepreneur. It's not everybody's goal to be a business owner. And some people just, want to live a regular life, have a family, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But me personally, the goals that I have for myself, like I want to be an entrepreneur. So it's like, I understand that I have to put myself around other like-minded individuals so that way we can learn from each other and help each other. But again, reiterating my point, it's hard.
Well, when we're young, for guys especially, it's all about flossing. Like, what can we show off to other people that I've made it, even though we really haven't? How do I impress other dudes? How do I impress all the women? How do I tell people that I'm up here, not realizing that I just... And this happened to me too. When we're 25, and again, I graduated from college in 2005. Yeah. The mindset was more traditional, which you would think about, that once you graduate college, you're going to get this 6-figure job, and then your life's going to take off from there. And that at 24, 25, whatever I was then, that you're supposed to have figured everything out. Yeah. You're an adult now. You get your college degree. You're going to start your job. You're going to start your family right after that. You're good to go. And no one told me back then that I really didn't know anything at 25. I didn't realize that till I was in my mid-30s that there was a lot that I didn't know back then. Yeah. And had I made big decisions like buying a house or having children or something at 25 when I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going in my life, it could have, I'm not saying it would have, but it could have led me down a more darker, dangerous, more harder path for me.
I agree.
And I've seen some guys go down that road. I've seen some guys go that route and they've been fine. They made the best of it. And that's more of an inspiration right there, that you guys were able to power through all that. Yeah. But you really, as a guy, you don't hit your stride till your mid-30s. Yeah. Things don't click. You're still, your mind isn't even fully developed until you're about 26 years old.
Exactly.
So you can't, I look back on the way I used to think about life at 21. I thought, hey, I knew what I was doing back then. Of course. I look back at the same time now, like, I don't know what I was thinking at 21. I couldn't process it.
I do that all the time. Like, I'll just catch myself in a random thought and I'll just be like, damn. Like at 19, I was doing this. It's like if I would have just had this mindset sooner, I could have started way sooner, but I didn't. So it's like I'm here now. The only thing I can do is continue to do what I'm doing now. But it's it definitely takes some growing up to do for men, and it took me a while to understand that, because again, there's a burden of performance for men. Like, as much as some people may want to ignore it, some people want to act like it doesn't exist. It does. It's like, as a man, your value, at least to society, is majority based off of what can you provide. Mm-hmm. And it's like a lot of men don't understand that, and they struggle with that. So it's like, that's why I feel like a lot of men nowadays, it's like they just kind of feel lost and have this feeling of like no sense of direction, because that's really how men are looked at in today's time. So I don't know. It's
one of those things, because we don't have the benefit of looking 20 years down the line, looking back to today, so we really don't know.
We really don't.
But in terms of that, it's a new world and I got to be careful saying this, because if you go to India or you go to Sudan, countries that are still
more traditional minded.
I don't even want to say that they're doing it. I can't say they're doing it right, because there's a lot of things that go on in those countries that we all know shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But compared to when we talk about America, the West, and how we're supposed to live our lives, it's a different environment now than what it was 30, 40 years ago. Now, in some ways, it's been good. For example, there's women have a lot more opportunity here than they ever did from their grandparents' generation and whatnot. Yeah. There's more money in this country. The economy is doing really great. You can be a lot more things, but it comes at a cost.
At a cost,
and the cost could be, how do we adapt to this new way of living? For a lot of young men, it used to be pretty simple. You would go do what your dad did. Mm-hmm. If you were in West Virginia, you would be a coal miner, because that's what your dad did, and that's what the industry was over there. If you grew up in the Midwest or the Rust Belt, you would be in the auto industry, because that's what jobs were out there. Yeah. Those jobs don't exist anymore. Nope. So you have a lot of young men who are like, geez, my dad and my granddad did this. That's what this area of this part of the country is made for, and I can't do that. Yeah. So I'm sort of like, what do I do? Do I move to California and do something at Google? I don't want to do that. I don't want to move my family. Yeah. And then the whole drug issue gets into that's another snowball effect, because you can see how certain parts of the country have it worse than others. Yeah. Kind of in the same areas where these old school jobs just don't exist anymore. Yeah. And for young men, you have to ask yourself the question is, this is the world I'm in now, whether I like it or not. How do I best adapt to that? And maybe that means I don't do what my father did or my grandfather did. Maybe I have to find my own way, which is even more difficult, because you got no one to look up to and say, he did it this way, give me this step by step. Yeah. You got to figure out your own way.
Definitely. I can definitely attest to the figuring out your own way. It's like me, I didn't really have any male role models growing up. I grew up with pretty much women. Like, outside of me, I didn't really have any men in my family. I had one. It's my uncle. Even to this day, I always tell him, it's like how much I appreciate him, because I spent some time in my childhood living with him, and he was the male role model for me. So he instilled a lot of discipline and lessons in me early on, especially because I was really bad in school, like my elementary years. So he was hard on me, and at the time I didn't really understand it, but now I do. So I said that to say, it's when you don't have a father figure or a male in your life, it is a lot harder to kind of navigate your way through and understand the real world and just find your path, find your passion. So it just makes it a lot harder. And that's why I feel like it took me so long to really kind of figure out what I wanted to do. But regardless, I'm glad it happened.
Yeah. So. But you're right about a lot of young men are looking for role models. There is a podcast that you guys had mentioned earlier that's very popular with a lot of young men. Yeah. And at my age, I watched that and I listened to the advice, and most of what they're saying is not wrong. I get it. It's not. I totally get where everybody's coming from. Yeah. The problem that I see it happening is that when you give that information to a 16, 17-year-old guy and you just give him a short or a reel, think back to how you were when you were that age. Yeah. Guys take things very literal.
Very literal.
So for example, if a woman tells a guy, I want a nice guy who buys me gifts, what's he going to do at 16? Exactly. He's going to give a bunch of compliments. He's going to buy a bunch of chocolate. Yeah. This is what you said you wanted, therefore give me what I want.
Yeah. I fell for that trap.
Yeah. We all did.
We all did.
And you realize it doesn't work that way. So when you give young boys, not even adults yet, that kind of advice, and you just say, here you go, run with it. Yeah. That's where that male role model has to be important, because you have to have that big brother or the father who's with you step by step to say, I can tell you the information, but I need to walk you through this. I need to sort of be the coach. Yeah. Because when you screw up, which you will, I need to be able to show you how you messed up. If I just give you a bunch of Instagram reels or whatnot and say,
watch
here you go.
this.
Yeah. It's not wrong information, but you can process it without the filter to deal with.
And it definitely has more context to it because like you said, like you can watch a 30-second clip, but again, it might have been a 2.5, 3 hour podcast. So those 30 seconds, you just completely missed the whole context as to why he said what he said in those 30 seconds.
Exactly. But as somebody who's 40 years old, I can listen to that content now and be like, yeah, I get where you're coming from. I totally get it. I see the bigger picture.
100%.
I don't get offended. I don't think they're saying anything. Well, there's a couple of things they're like, you probably shouldn't have said that.
There are definitely some things that I'll listen to them say and I'm like, like that's kind of shaky. But for the most part,
but here's the thing. That's the business side of it that people don't see.
Yeah.
Is how you play the algorithms. You have to say those catchy things because
it attracts people.
Exactly. It keeps the rhythm going.
Yeah.
That's how you make your money.
Exactly.
When somebody who's really popular now or was Andrew Tate, when he says something, if he says one of those blatantly obvious content, like what the hell were you thinking, dude? He's not stupid.
Yeah.
He's saying that because he knows it's going to get him in the algorithm.
Exactly.
And then it's going to draw people to his other content.
Yeah.
So if you're the guy in the back, the money maker, you're like, hey, if that's bringing me time and money and effort, keep doing that.
Yeah.
You don't even have to really mean it. You just say it and people just fall over it.
Yeah, literally.
It's funny thing that the podcast we're talking about for everybody is the Fresh and Fit podcast.
No.
And it's funny that just taking a step back from it, again, nothing against those guys because I see what they're doing. They have two types of shows. They have the daytime show and they have the night show.
I love their daytime shows.
Yes.
I watch them every week. They call them Money Mondays. They basically just give a lot of game as far as just ways to create wealth, whether that's through real estate, getting your credit up, cryptocurrency, all of that. So there's definitely they get a lot of heat for their night shows with the women, but a lot of people don't even know that they have daytime shows. Like you tell most people they have daytime shows and they teach young men these things. People are like, what? Like, because everybody only knows those 30-second clips from the nighttime shows where he's talking reckless to one of the girls. But
that's the business side of it. And when you look at their analytics, all the numbers go to the night show because that's the Jerry Springer, that's the entertainment, that's the fun. Oh, he did that, she did that, whatever. When you look at the daytime numbers, a fraction of what the night, and that's where all the meat and potatoes are. Yeah. How to invest, how to get yourself, but that's like me going to college and say, do you want to sit in front of a lecture for an hour and a half with the boring professor telling you the good stuff, but you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to be on my phone listening to the version of the night show. Yeah. So that's how you know when the audience, if they're too young, they're going to go here because that's the fun stuff.
Yeah. That's definitely.
Think about when you were like 19 or 20. Did you want to sit there for an hour and a half and listen to, okay, here's the investment strategy. Here's real estate. Here's what it's about. You'd be like, I don't know.
It's like, no, I'm just trying to watch them yell at some girls, but it's like
exactly.
But no,
but from a business point of view, they can do both. They can do the things that we're talking about, making people's lives better, and I can put this. They can do what we're doing here. Yeah. I can put that content out, knowing it's not going to make me a lot of money, if anything. Yeah. And the business, the money that makes the business go, that's over here. Sometimes you make a deal with the devil. Yeah. I'd be curious to talk to them off camera one day off the record and say, hey, is this how your business model is going? I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly how it is. Like, we got to pay the bills over here, and sometimes you got to say what you got to say. But over here, this is the good stuff. Yeah. This is the stuff that's going to make guys' lives better and women's lives too. Yeah. And if they don't want to watch it, I mean, hey, just we can only put it out there.
And I agree, though, because like I said, I watch their daytime shows a lot, and I'll personally say that it's definitely helped me as far as understanding more that I need to be more accountable as a man and that I need to get my stuff together. So they've definitely helped me as far as like putting me on game on ways to help build my credit, ways I can get into investing in real estate, things like that. So I definitely think that the content that they put out is beneficial. I know that's a controversial take.
It's not controversial because I see it too. Like they put out an episode not too long ago about credit cards, like the 5 best credit cards to use. If you understand the credit card game and you get your mindset on that, you're going to be that half of 1% that the credit card companies don't like, but they'll make that deal because the other 99% of people are going to just spend money on interest, annual fees, not know. They're going to make their money.
They're going to make it regardless.
And those credit companies will be happy to say, here's your rewards. Here's your congratulations. We're going to shout you out. See, you can do it. No one in the back of the mind, these people are still going to it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make yourself that small percentage that gets the game, you're going to set yourself way ahead of the bar.
100%.
So it's good stuff. You're right.
100%. And they definitely been a big help, man. So, like I said, I know it's controversial because everybody they just hear Fresh and Fit. And oh my God, they're like, Fresh and Fit. Like, you listen to them? I'm like, even on their nighttime shows, like if you just take a second and just listen to what he's saying, like just step outside of your feelings and just listen to the message. It's like you'll realize that like you actually agree with majority of what they're saying. Like all feelings aside, like take the emotion out of it and just understand what he's trying to tell you.
It's but again, that's part of the game. It is part of, unfortunately, the social media thing is that if you want to get discovered, and where there's tens of millions of people out there, you have to find a way to hack the system.
There's definitely some risks you have to take
yes.
as far as like putting yourself out there and understanding that some people might not agree with it.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that I've adapted, because it's like whether you do fitness, whether you're a rapper, whether you're an entertainer, musician, podcaster, it doesn't matter. It's like not everybody is going to agree with you on what you do. So it's like at the end of the day, just do what makes you happy. And if you can still help people, even if it's not everybody, if you can still help a good number of people, I mean, that's a win in my book. So, because
you're absolutely right. And this, for example, is the long game. I was telling one of my guests from like 20 episodes ago that this is a 10-year plan for me.
Yeah.
I know when this thing comes out, it's not going to make me any money right away.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to. I'm here building trust. I'm building an audience. It's going to grow organically over time. And it's not going to hit 1 million views tomorrow. It's going to take time, because I'm banking on people like you who are going to make me look better to other people out there, saying, hey, I came on Mike's podcast. Let me tell you about it. Here's the experience that I had.
Yeah.
It was a great show. We talked about great content. He didn't make me look bad. So when someone else says, who trusts you but not me yet, they say, well, if Don liked the episode and he trusts him,
right,
then maybe I'll give Mike a chance, because I would love to be able to go out there and talk about my knowledge.
Exactly.
And not have to worry about making, trying to look like a fool because he clipped out certain parts that made me look like an idiot just to get views.
Yeah. And that's like one of the negatives I would say about social media is, again, like it's very easy to manipulate the audience. And as far as like when it comes to creating reels and stuff, because you can chop a 30-minute reel up into 30 seconds and just make, for example, Myron, he gets a lot of heat from his clips. But it's like if you watch the podcast versus watching just a 30-second clip, you would understand why he said what he said. And again, it would go deeper into the context, so you would understand more. But a lot of people don't take the time to do it. They'll just scroll on TikTok. They'll see 30 seconds of him saying whatever he says, and they're like, oh my God, like he's a horrible person.
Yeah. I mean, and then you got to think about what he wants. He wants something that's very specific, and more power. You want to get that, good for you. I'm not here to judge anybody. Yeah. So, but some people say, I don't want, well, then you don't want it, then don't listen to his advice. Simple as that. Just let him do his thing. You do your thing, and we're fine. What's the issue? It
amazes me how, like, not even just with their podcast, but in general, like how many people will, I don't like using the word hate, but how many people don't like something, whether it's like podcasting or some sort of content, but they'll continue to watch it.
Yeah. It's all up here.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, you claim you don't like this information, but you're always tuning into it. So
human beings are very adept at getting stuck on the negative.
Yeah.
I could tell you 100 things that you did right, but you're just going to hear the one thing that you did wrong, and you're just going to keep running with it.
And that's what's going to stick out to you the most. Yep. Like, out of those 100 things, like the 99 were amazing, but that one, it's like you just forgot everything good I just said about you, because it's just that one.
Like, Don's the most amazing trainer. He got me 10 pounds of muscle. He's a great guy. He got me a nutrition plan, whatever. But you know what? That one time he just didn't call me that he was going to be late, and that just sticks in my mind. Yeah, that one thing, even though it has nothing to do with the bigger picture of what you're putting out there.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, you have to, like, I would tell somebody who wants to do all this, like, do not do this for the money. Yeah. This is about a bigger purpose, about you getting a message out there that you believe in. Your show will grow organically over time. But if you're worried about paying the bills now, then you better have another job, or you better be doing something else on the side, because once money comes into doing something like this, you're going to get tainted by having to do what the algorithms want you to do. Then you become known as that guy. Yeah. So if it's about money, sometimes you got to make a deal with the devil. But if it's about a purpose and your finances are taken care of separately, which is why I like to talk about fitness and finances, you get your money taken care of, it opens the door so you can do things like this
Definitely
and not have
opens
to
the
worry
door.
about paying the bills. It opens up the door if you're a personal trainer to say, you know what, I want to build my own studio. I want to have my own clients. But
Yeah.
if I'm also full-time, let's say at Google, just picking out a random company around here, I do that 40 hours a week. And the rest of the time I'm building this whole personal training empire that I want to do for myself so that one day this will be my career. I'm nurturing it now.
Yeah.
So I can leave, let's say, Google in 10 years, and now I can focus on this.
Yeah.
And I spent 10 years building that thing up. So now it's making me money, but it wasn't day one.
Yeah, and it just comes back to instant gratification. In today's time, it's like everybody just wants results quick. Like it's just they want, like they think of something, they're like, okay, I want that, and then they just want, like they just almost as if they just want it to appear. And it's like that's not the case at all. You have to really work for it. And like you said, to further your point, you're not gonna blow up overnight. Some people get lucky and they do, but for majority, we don't. You know, you have to put in the work, put in the hours. Like you said, you might have a full-time job during the week, but what's going to separate you and the rest of the society is, are you going to dedicate those hours on the weekend to building your business instead of playing video games or instead of going out and clubbing for 5 hours, like 5 hours during the night. But
Exactly.
it all really comes down to just sacrifices and how bad you really want it. Everybody says they want it. Everybody wants something, but very few are really willing to put in the work it takes to get it. So, and it's, I don't know.
Nobody wants to say, hey, you mean I got to do 40 hours of work and not get paid a dime for it?
Exactly.
Like, if that's what you believe
That's
in.
what you want. Because, 40 hours, you might, let's say you're putting these 40 hours in for the first year. You're not really seeing any returns from it. But that second year, you might blow up. You never know. That second year, you might, I don't know, something might align for you and you might start making 6 figures from that business, or even high 5 figures. Like you never know. Like you really don't. The only thing you can do is just keep working and control what you can control.
Yeah.
So,
and it goes right back into the fitness world there. Well, for example, this whole episode is going to take me about 12 hours of work.
Yeah.
Between setting up, taking everything down, and then actually doing the editing and making the reels and all the stuff I got to do.
Yeah.
I have to make sure I really want to do it.
Exactly.
If it was about the money, I would have stopped a long time ago.
Literally.
Like, am I getting paid? Why am I doing this? No, it's because it's here for a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
But I'm at a stage in my life where I could do that because financially I have a lot of things set. So, okay, I have time I can invest into it.
and that's ultimately the goal, especially for me. Like it's financial freedom. I just want to be able to enjoy my life how I want to, when I want to. I want to be able to roll out of bed and just be like, you know what? Tell my girlfriend like, hey, let's book a trip to the Maldives for a week. So that's the ultimate goal. But I don't, like you said, I don't look at it as just money. Fitness is definitely something I'm passionate about. So, because if it wasn't, I would have never started. If I was in it for the money, I would have just been like, hey, I would have just approached it completely different. I wouldn't have even have started a business. It would have been more like a side hustle.
Yeah.
But
we keep talking about the mental health thing in society, but it comes back down to
it
and finances. Like you were completely shocked when I told you how old I was.
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't understand. It's like when you don't work out, you're literally speeding up your aging process. Like you are. So if you're not exercising and using your muscles, you're losing it. If you're not using your muscle, you're literally losing it. Like by the year, your muscle tissue starts getting weaker and weaker, starts breaking down more. Your bone density gets weaker. Your physical appearance, it processes faster. You just age so much faster. Because like you said, when we were talking and you told me you were 40, I was like, there's no way. I thought you were still in your early 30s. Like, there's no way. I was like, a lot of people underestimate it. And again, to further your point about the mental health, like, it's very underrated in the fitness industry. It's like people who don't really exercise that often, they truly don't understand. Like you get so many mental benefits from exercising. Like it's crazy. Like I mentioned earlier, it's just motivation. You have more of a sense of purpose. It's more energy throughout your day. You're not tired by like 1 p.m. Like you have the energy to get things done. It gives you just this drive to just get stuff done. And it's hard to explain it because, when you're referring to something like this, like it's more so you have to experience it. Like I have a client, her name is Sarah. Can I say her name?
You can say the name. Yeah.
Her name is Sarah. And we just had a session on believe it was yesterday, and she was telling me, like, I've only been with her for like 2 weeks, and she was like, I'm already noticing and feeling physical differences in my body. She was like, I feel so much better. She was like, I have more energy. She was like, I'm starting to feel more confident, things like that, you know? So it's definitely underrated.
I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier when we were talking about how to build muscle and strength, like number one you went to was diet. Now, I'm sure people always ask you, like, can you define whole food, or, you know, does this count if I buy it from Whole Foods versus if I buy it from Safeway? They start, you know, getting really into the weeds about it.
Yeah.
One thing that people get, I think, too caught up on it is this whole idea, and there's probably some truth to it, but like the feeding window. You just pumped, 12 sets of chest and you're maxed out.
Yeah.
You have 30 minutes or whatever to get all this protein in your system to maximize the benefits. I think some of that has been debunked more recently.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of confusion out there that people think, I have to eat all this protein. I got to take all these supplements. I got to do all this. Otherwise, it's all for naught.
Yeah.
So if someone were to ask you, like, Don, what's the best meal I should eat before working out? And what should I eat right after? How would you tell somebody what the best thing is for them?
Well, if you're looking for something to eat before you work out, I would say stick to a meal, but something that's easily digestible, something that's not super heavy on the stomach. You don't want to eat a full plate and then go work out because, well, for one, if you eat a full plate and then you go work out too soon, you're not going to get the most out of your workout because your body is using most of that energy to break down the food you just ate. So even, let's say you just ate a full plate and you go work out in 30 minutes, you'll be at the gym and you'll physically feel weaker. Like you'll be able to tell, like, you'll feel it in your body. You're like, I'm just not feeling it today, because your body is in the process of breaking down food. It's not worried about pumping blood to the muscle you're working out. You know, you're having your body do two different things at the same time.
I think there's a lot of confusion out there about, I need to eat like chicken breasts and broccoli. So if I want to eat that before the gym, is that wiser? Or maybe I should load up on the carbs first, and then carbs gets this whole bad rap. The carbs are the enemy.
Oh, yeah, no.
So, and what would be the general advice? Everybody's specific, and some people with different goals. Generally speaking, what would you eat before and after a workout?
Generally speaking, if I do eat a full meal before I work out, I'll wait an hour to an hour and a half. Give my body time to actually digest it. But if I do something light, let's say I'll maybe eat like some Greek yogurt, throw in some fruit or maybe some granola on top of it, eat that, eat some rice cakes, a banana, because those are carbs, but it's also very easily digestible. So with that being said, that'll allow your body to digest that fast and give you the energy that you need, because carbs are going to give you the energy for your workout. As far as after your workout, like you said about the chicken and broccoli and rice, you can eat that. Specifically after your workout, you should definitely prioritize protein. Mm-hmm. Again, about the whole window thing, there's really no window. Like, I know like some people are like, oh, you need to eat 30 minutes after a workout, or you can't wait more than 2 hours. That's not true at all. You can wait as long as you want after your workout to eat. It's not really recommended. You should fuel your body as soon as possible. But let's just say after your gym, you have to go run errands and you're not able to eat until maybe an hour and a half. It's not going to kill your gains, because whenever you go strength train, you're breaking down the muscles in your body. So again, let's say I go to the gym and hit a chest day. Every time I do a chest workout, I'm breaking all the fibers down, the little mini microfibers in my chest. Those take days to recover. So it's like you waiting an hour and a half to put food into your body. It's not going to kill your gains. Because, again, I stress diet because what you put in your body is what's going to help your body grow. So if you're going to work out and then you go to Wendy's after, you're putting a bunch of greasy foods in your body. So you're more likely than not going to put on more body fat. Versus if you go home and eat something with a lot of protein, it's going to help build that lean muscle tissue.
So if somebody wants to have the classic example of, I want to lose all this body fat around my abdomen, but I also at the same time want to get a lot of muscle going on. Yeah. And if I eat that banana, that means that sugar is going to go straight to my gut. How do you overcome those obstacles? Because I bet you a lot of people are getting nervous about, I have to eat so clean if I want to lose all this body fat, and not really prioritize that these foods like bananas and yogurt are giving you the energy so you can build up that muscle. So how would you explain that to people so they can in some way give both benefits? Yeah,
so I understand that everybody's body reacts differently to foods. Like some people may have higher insulin levels or cholesterol or whatever, so their bodies are affected differently based on the foods they eat. So bananas are healthy for you. They have I can go down a whole list about like benefits bananas provide you, but in short, they're good carbs, good source of energy, easily digestible, contains good potassium. But as far as like diet, I mean, as far as like trying to lose the body fat and all that, the 3 things I tell everybody: get your steps in, make sure you're moving around, drink. As an adult, you should be drinking minimum a gallon a day, gallon of water a day, and prioritizing protein, eating a high protein diet. Those 3 things are instant fat killers. Like you do that for a month, and I guarantee you'll lose anywhere between 5 to 10 pounds. At those 3 things, and with strength training, I guarantee you you'll lose 5 to 10 pounds.
So is it fair to say people overcomplicate the diet thing?
Fitness is severely overcomplicated. Like it's really not as complicated as people make it seem. And I understand why it confuses a lot of people, because again, to your point earlier, there's so many personal trainers and so many fitness influencers, and everybody's always coming out with the new diet hack or the lose this amount of weight in 10 days. It's like fitness is really simple. Just prioritize. If your goal is to lose weight, prioritize strength training. Like I said, move. Try to get your steps in. I get around 10,000 steps in a day. Drink a gallon of water and focus on a high protein diet. But yeah, it's really simple. I mean, it's for me, one thing I found most is that most people know what to do. They just need the extra push to do it. Like most people just need somebody to hold them accountable. So, and then that's where I kind of come in. I just help people like instill that discipline, work on creating and building those habits. And then from there, if they want to continue to work with me, fine, I love it. But if not, and you feel like you're ready to just go out there on your own, and at least I feel good about myself because I gave you all the necessary tools that you need. So
you brought up a good thing with the accountability in terms of physical fitness. And one thing that has come up out of the pandemic has been this whole work from home thing. Oh. We thought it was going to go away, and a lot of it is still here to stay, which to a shock to a lot of people. Yeah. So there's many people, we're in Silicon Valley, so there's a lot of people who even live in this very building who they're inside all day. They're working, they're making money, and that part, that's good. Yeah. But trying to stay fit when you're sedentary most of the time is very difficult. Yeah. So how would you give advice to people who are working from home now, maybe 40 hours a week? What's the best advice you can give them to stay as fit as possible, given the fact that they're sitting down most of the time?
Oh, man. A few things. I would say, 1, you should consider investing in one of the standing desks. That'll be cool, because I know sitting down over time, like, it starts to hurt your back, starts to hurt your butt, because you're in that same position for multiple hours. So you can either, I would say, invest in like one of those standing desks that can transition from standing to sitting. That way, like, maybe every 10, 15 minutes, you can just switch, stand up for a little bit and sit back down. You can do that. Invest in, a pair of dumbbells. You don't need to have a whole rack like they do at a commercial gym, but just get maybe a couple pairs that'll give you a good challenge, make you get a good sweat going. You can set up a yoga mat, have a quick 20, 30-minute workout. It's like you don't have to work out for 2-3 hours to see benefits. You can go and do a 25-minute workout, but if it's intense, you'll still get the same benefits out of it as if I just did an hour and a half workout, So you can do that. Walk. During your lunch breaks, where you might have a 15-minute break, 30-minute hour lunch, take some time out of your day, go for a quick 10-minute walk. Do that. Make sure you're getting your water in. Water is going to be key.
Dude, walking is so underrated.
It's so underrated. It's like when people, it's literally cardio. Like, people hear cardio and they just assume like, oh, I got to hop on a treadmill and run for an hour. Like, that's not the case at all. My favorite form of cardio, I hop on a treadmill, put it on an incline, maybe like 12 to 15, and then I put the speed on like 3 and just walk. Walk for like 20, 30 minutes. Walking at an incline is going to get that heart rate up. It's going to help with the cardiovascular health. You're going to burn more calories. So
that's just one of those old myths that still exist today. You think you have to get on the treadmill and run 10 miles an hour for like 20 minutes, and then that's the only way you could burn fat. Well, you're actually burning a lot of muscle. You keep doing that.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you can also burn fat from lifting weights. Again, when you lift weights, that puts your body in a constant state of burning calories. Because remember earlier I mentioned the whole muscle fiber breakdown. So if I go do a chest workout and I'm breaking down all those muscle fibers in my body. In order for that muscle to recover, my body has to constantly be burning calories to repair that muscle. So that's why like strength training is so underrated as far as weightlifting. Most people think like, oh, I have to lose this weight, so I'm going to go hop on a treadmill. Most of the weight that people think they lose from doing like excessive cardio is typically just water weight.
It's all the water, people.
It's not really actual fat that they're losing off of their body. In order to lose fat off your body, oh, that's another thing. Sidebar: there's no such thing as spot reduction on fat. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard it.
I'm surprised that that's still a thing. Yeah, I just want to get this.
Yeah, people will come to me and like, what exercises can I do to just get my midsection? I'm like, there's no exercises in this world that you can do that'll eliminate fat from that one spot. Like, you can't spot reduce body fat. You have to just lose. It's going to just lose it over time as you be consistent with the whole fitness plan.
But that's a big one. And going back to the people who work at home, yes, it's ideal if you can go out to the gym, but some people, the gym's not their vibe. I want my own space. I don't want to have to fight over equipment, or I just don't like the environment. And okay, fair enough. If that's not your jam, you could still get a good workout at home being creative. If you can, like you said, take 15, 20 minutes during your break or lunch and go out and walk around your building or your neighborhood, come back.
Literally.
Get some adjustable Bowflex dumbbells or whatever they are. And then you can just throw on a quick workout on TV. Maybe your computer's on if you want to get creative, depending on your employer, where you're still working, but you can also get the physical. You don't just have to limit yourself to the fact that I'm at home sitting in front of a computer all day, that I'm sort of stuck. I'll never be able to get in shape. You have the tools available to you if you choose to use them. Buying the yoga mat, like you said.
Exactly.
Working out online. A matter of fact, do you see that as the future, as all these online workout programs like Peloton, even though they're kind of going down?
It's definitely, I don't see it as 100% the future, but it's definitely gonna make an impact. Like me, I train in person, but I also am an online trainer as well. Like, I have clients on both sides. You know, some people prefer the one-on-one experience. Some people don't really need the one-on-one experience. They just more so need a guide as to like what training should they do, their diet, and that's what I more so offer on the online side. So to your point, someone who might not really have time to go to a gym to get that in-person training, you can work with me online. I'll create you a whole custom workout program you can do at home, help you with the diet side, and then from there, you're just doing it on your own. The only thing I'm doing is making sure you're staying consistent with that, helping you stay accountable, and any other questions you might have, honestly. So
now with that, if you're being fully transparent, if you have enough data to show this, where do you see a bigger success? The people who come in person, or actually maybe surprising the people who do it online?
Success-wise, I would definitely, in today's society, I would definitely say more so on the online side.
Really?
Because, a lot of people don't really have the time to dedicate a full hour of in-person training. And so one thing I've noticed more is the people who really need more of the in-person training kind of don't have the lifting experience. And I mean, I even have some clients on my online side who don't have any lifting experience, but part of the app that I have, like it shows you instructional videos on how to perform the movement. So that way you're not just going blindly into it. Like, how am I doing this? As far as the success side, I definitely think there's going to be more success on the online side because, like I said, you can help people all over the world versus in person. You're kind of limited to your geographical area, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah.
Working online, I could be working with somebody in Japan. I could be working with somebody in a different state and still helping them get to their results, get everything that they want out of their goals. But, I'm not near them. So
do you have a lot of clients that are young parents?
Just one.
Just one. What's been that person's, I didn't mention their name, been their key to success? That is a big issue that people in my generation, the older millennials, are sort of finding. It's because they have to both work to make ends meet, especially around the Bay Area with how much everything costs. And the kids take up a lot of time, obviously. They haven't had the same amount of time to go to the gym the way they used to.
Right.
So they're losing a lot of their fitness ability in their own mind. And it just takes them having to adapt to it. But I'm really curious if you can give some advice to people in that sort of bubble. How do you maintain your physical fitness when you're so strapped between helping take care of the kids and also working, and the time that you have in the day just shrinks?
Well, if you have a if you have a partner, because I understand that like everybody with kids doesn't always have a partner. Like some people are single parents. If you have a partner, you guys should just sit down, whether one of you is interested in fitness or both of you are, you guys should just sit down and try to create a schedule. And that's another thing that people don't do. Like everybody always says like, oh, I don't really have time. But if you sit down and really plan out your day, you'll be surprised like the time gaps that you have, even with children. You'll be surprised like just even if it's a 45-minute window, that's more than enough time to get a workout in. You can get it, like I said, you can get a 30-minute workout in. It's intense. So I would say just sit down, talk to that person, figure out what works for you guys. Hey, maybe I can go to the gym on these days while you watch the kid if you don't mind. And then the days that I have to watch the kid, you can go hit the gym on those days. Or maybe consider a babysitter, childcare if that's possible. But if you're a single parent, sheesh. I know it's a lot harder. I know it's a lot harder. So I would say maybe the same thing as far as like seeing. I know like it might feel kind of a burden if you're always asking somebody to watch your child. So some gyms do offer like, you know, childcare services, like they'll watch your kid while you work out. Or you can just try your best, even if you know that you won't be able to make it to the gym, you can just try your best to just get a workout in. So let's say 1:30 to 3, you know that you're putting your kid down for a nap. That's a whole hour and a half. You don't need it to exercise. You can use that hour and a half and get 30 minutes in for exercise, and you can use the last hour to take a nap or catch up on something that you want to do for yourself, or, you know, just use it however you want to. So there's ways and there's gaps you can do it. It all really just comes down to how much you really want it. Because at the end of the day, everybody's busy. And I understand that children they need more attention. So it's not as easy as saying like, oh, I'm busy because of my job versus I'm busy because of my kids. So I said that to say like, if something's important to you, you're going to make time for it. You're going to find some time for it. Even if it's 20 minutes, like I said, even if it's 25, 30 minutes, you'll make time for it. So.
And with that, when you talked about the online program, I think a lot of it comes down to a mental shift. If I'm somebody that's, let's say I'm single or I don't have kids, and I'm so used to going to the gym, I'm used to the barbells, the dumbbells, the Smith machines, whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm somebody, let's say I have a couple of kids, and I don't have the time to go drive out to the gym, or I don't have the luxury of having it in the same building I work in, or I don't have a garage with all the equipment, then maybe I have to adapt my mindset to like these online programs where I have to be able to watch Little Junior or whatever their name is, but I got a big family room with the TV. How can I maximize the online portion of it, but not feel like I'm losing out on the fact that I don't have a barbell and all the heavy weights? So is there a way that even people who are so used to going to the gym and using all that equipment can still get a better or the same, if not a better workout at home using smaller, more compact weights and equipment? And have you seen that, and how does it actually work?
Yeah, you can definitely still get great results with dumbbells, kettlebells, same thing. It really, at the end of the day, like barbells and Smith machines and stuff, that just comes down to a preference. But if you have dumbbells, kettlebells, or even like maybe like a weighted vest or like a sandbag, anything with weight that's gonna provide resistance, you'll still get results from it. Obviously, it's not going to be your preference, because let's say you want to do a deadlift, but you prefer your deadlifts with barbells, but all you have is a dumbbell or a kettlebell or whatever. You can still perform the movement and get the results, but it's just not going to be your preference, you know. But you can still do it. And as far as the online workouts, it's like a lot of people hear online and they think that like it's like a Zoom call or something. Like we're on a Zoom call, like doing it. That's not the case at all. So I create you a program, put it on your client profile in the app, and then you just click on it, look at the workouts, and it'll have like a whole layout, the sets, the reps, the rest time in between. And then from there, you just perform it. Like I said, you could just set up a yoga mat, you know, turn on your TV instead of when you turn your TV on, you could just, I don't know, go on YouTube, play some music, or play a playlist, and then just let it play. Well, obviously, if you don't have kids, you don't want to be too loud, but play some music, and then just be in your living room. Like you said, you're big. You have one big space. Just be in your living room and just rock out, have fun.
Well, with that, I do want to ask you about your opinion on bands, because that can be a big controversy. Some people love them. Some people are like, it's not the same thing. So what's your thought on the bands, and can you actually get the results that you want from that, or probably defining what results actually mean?
Bands are beneficial, but they're not optimal. You're not going to get nearly the amount of results you would as if you were to use like a barbell or dumbbells. They do offer a really good amount of resistance, and they will get you gains, but your gains will be limited. So for example, let's say you'll notice a lot of gains within your first month of using them, but after that you notice it kind of starts to get stagnant, like you're just kind of in the same place. And it's because like with bands, you can't really progressive overload and add more weight to it, if that makes sense. Like the resistance that a band offers, you're limited to that resistance. And obviously as you work out and become more consistent, your body adapts to that and you get stronger. So let's say at the beginning of using bands, your first week you struggled, but then a month later it's like now you're just repping it out because your body adapted to it, you've gotten stronger. So that's kind of where you just plateau at that point. So versus if you plateau at a certain weight with dumbbells, it's like, and then you get stronger. Once you get to that point, now you can get heavier dumbbells and start the process over. So bands are beneficial, but they're not the best when it comes to getting results. Because again, I know I keep kind of repeating myself, but it's like you only have a certain amount that you can get from them. It's like once you get to a certain point, it's like they don't really offer much more to you.
So maybe somebody who's starting out lifting weights
most
or
definitely.
Physical therapy, like, hey, I got shoulder issues. Okay, that might be a good way to get some
definitely
strength back. But you're not going to get jacked.
Yeah, no. As far as like working on and increasing your mobility, your strength, it's bands are definitely a good way to start out, but at some point you're gonna want to transition to weights.
So that might be an example of someone's working out from home, where bands can get you started. A set dumbbell is going to take you longer, or an adjustable dumbbell is going to take you farther. And then if you do hit a point where you really want to pump some serious weight, now you might say, hey, I have to go to the gym. But at that point, you're probably going to be so motivated to go, you've seen the results, that getting out of the house and going to the gym is not as much of a task as it was when you first started, where you're like, I don't want to be around all these gym guys or whatnot. You're embarrassed with what you can weigh. And I'm ready to go now.
Yeah. And also to keep touching on that, again, not everybody's trying to be a bodybuilder. So most people, their goal isn't to get bigger every month. Most people just want to be in shape. They just want to be lean. They just want to be, have a nice muscular tone to them. So sticking with, 25, 30, 35 pound dumbbells will actually be good for you, because it's like, even though you'll kind of just stay stagnant at a certain point, it's like it'll still keep you in shape. You're just not going to progress as far as putting on more size. So if your goal, if you're just like, you're a normal person and you just want to be in shape, just have a nice fit athletic body, that'll work perfect for you. Bands and, a starter set of dumbbells, that'll work perfect for you. You can rock out with that as long as you want. But if you're someone whose goal is to, maybe be a bodybuilder or a power lifter, and your goal is to focus on constantly getting stronger and putting on muscle, then like you said, at some point, you're probably going to need to start getting into a gym, unless you want to take the time to invest that much money into just having a whole dumbbell rack, or
get the Bowflex machine.
Yeah, exactly. Get the Bowflex machine and all that.
So with that, I wanted to ask you one of the big questions, which is something that personal trainer has been trying to figure out for a long time, and that is, how do you keep your clients motivated? It usually happens at the beginning of the year. People make the New Year's resolution, I'm going to get to the gym again. And then January 1, everybody's at 24-hour.
Yeah.
And then like clockwork, you start seeing it go down, down. And by February, those people that showed up, they're already gone.
Yeah.
So as a personal trainer, I know that can get frustrating. You're like, I got this client, we're going to get them where they want to be at. And then they just sort of fall off. And whether they're valid or not, the excuses start coming out, the time, the money, the kids, or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you help people stay motivated to continue to get the results that they say they want in the beginning, or even just continue to get them to just get some results?
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest things that I stress right off the bat is you're not going to see your results overnight. Especially, like, for example, let's say if you're someone who's 275 and you want to get down to 200, you're not going to lose 75 pounds in 6 months. I mean, you can, but it's going to be in a very unhealthy way. So I just stress to them that it's going to be a journey. Like, there's going to be times where you don't want to do it. There's going to be times where it's hard. And there's going to be days where you wake up and that's what you're looking forward to. Like, you can't wait to get to the gym. So I just stress to them that it's going to be a journey. It's going to be hard, but also just let them know that I'm there. Like, if there's ever any days that you feel like you just don't have the energy for it, or you might need a little extra push, a little extra motivation, I mean, that's my job. I'm there to do that. But yeah, it's really just comes down to just wanting it. Like I know I keep saying it, like, motivation's not always going to be there. And I tell them that. I'm like, it's not. So if this is something that you say you want, like, I just try to get them to understand that not every day is going to be the same. Like, your first 2 weeks, you're going to be pumped to go to the gym. But after that, I mean, it's going to kind of start to stagnate. And another thing is progress. Like, most people fall off because one or two things. Well, at least from my experience, is they're not seeing progress, or they just don't know what to do in the gym. So you'll see somebody who will go into the gym, they'll go super hard for a month. And let's say their goal was to lose weight. And in that month, let's say maybe they only lost 3 pounds. Well, right off the bat, I know it's because A, you either didn't have a training program that was structured for your specific goal, or B, which they kind of play into each other, your diet. Again, going back to the diet. Most people, like, when they tell me they can't get to where they want to be, one of the first questions I always ask is, how is your diet? And 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh, well, I eat a lot of fast food, or I eat a lot of processed foods, or I drink a lot of my calories. Like, I drink a lot of sodas, or, like milkshakes and things like that. So,
or Dawn, I don't have time to go cook, or it's expensive to buy, and then I got to cut it up and chop it. It's just so much easier to go to McDonald's, and even if I got a salad, well, that might be a better choice. But
yeah, and I actually took some time and did this myself. Like, I broke down how much, like, it'll cost you average to eat out versus spending groceries on healthier food, and the prices are about the same. And it's like, I get it, like, it is time consuming to, like, be in the kitchen and cook. But if you really think about it, like, if you just dedicate one full day, like, for example, me and my lady, we typically dedicate our Sundays to, like, reset. So we reset, clean the whole place, make sure all the clothes are washed, dried, meal preps for the week. So we spend that whole day, like, doing all of that. So that way, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday comes, you don't really have to cook again until, like, Thursday, because you have meal prep set up for, like, those 3 days. So, and I mean, I understand not everybody likes eating meal preps. Some people don't like reheating cold food, but
or a chicken again. I just had chicken the last week.
So it's like me, I eat the same diet, I guess you could say, but it's just different. Like, so I eat a lot of chicken. Like, I don't really eat red meat. I eat my protein source is typically chicken or fish. So even though I do eat that pretty much every single day, it's different. Like, the recipes are different. I cook it different. I use it different seasonings. So it's like, even though you're eating the same food, it's like you're not really just, like, eating the same seasonings, the same flavors and stuff, because then that kind of gets boring. Like, if you mix it up, it kind of, like, makes you look forward to it in a way, because you're like, yeah, I had fish yesterday, but that might have been like I don't know, I might have used, like, paprika on that, but, like, today it's kind of like a Korean barbecue flavor, So that's just me. It helps me as far as that.
So it's fair to say that to keep somebody motivated to keep working out, they may go to the gym hardcore in that first month or that first week. Like, okay, I'm going to get the results I want. Then eventually at some point they're going to hit that plateau.
They're going to hit that, yeah.
Whether it's a month, a week, whatever it is, where, like, oh, I'm not gaining any more results. So clearly it's not working anymore. Why put in the same amount of work if it's just going to be this, like, flat line right there? Which is where the exact point has to be, where you got to double down, because that's how you progress past up the plateau.
Exactly.
So how do you explain to people, this is going to happen to you? You're going to have to grind it out, because here's the results that are going to come afterwards. How do you break through that barrier once they hit that first wall?
I mean, we honestly just talk about it. Like, I mean, I'll give them experiences as far as, like, my personal experience, or I'll show them examples from clients that I have. And I'm like, this was them between, like, month 1 and 3. They might have struggled, like, heading closer to the 3rd month, but then, they weren't really seeing any progress. And then I'm like, okay, well, then let's try this. So we might switch up their program. And then that very next week, they're like, that very next week, they're like, boom, like they're okay. It's like I'm seeing progress again. So it's really just me just being as transparent as possible, just letting them know that, you know, there's going to be times where certain days or weeks feel harder than others. And it's really just about pushing through. Like, I can sit there and talk about it all day, but it's like you kind of got to go through the experience to really understand.
I'm going to ask you a question that's simple.
Yeah.
Let's break it down very simple for people.
Okay.
Again, we'll assume we're talking to somebody who doesn't like to go to the gym a lot, doesn't know anything about everything. If you could give people the best exercises to say, if you just do this, you're going to be in a much better position. Your body's going to be in better shape. Yes, you're going to have to do more to adapt it, but just focus on these exercises. What would those be to make it very simple for people?
Like people who work from home or just in general?
In general, if whether they're at home or they actually are able to go to the gym, if there was only like 3 exercises, if I just did these 3, you're going to be better than 85% of people out there. What would something like that be?
Definitely focus on compound lifts. Compound lifts, for those who might not understand what compound lifts are, it's essentially just an exercise where you're focusing on, like, your body's working more than one muscle group at a time. So for example, let's say a compound lift versus a what is it called?
Isolation.
Isolation. I don't know why that slipped my mind. Isolation. So isolation would be like a typical dumbbell curl. So you know that's only hitting the bicep, versus a compound lift. You go do a bench press. Bench press is hitting your chest, a little bit of the front delt, and the triceps. So that's the difference between a compound lift and isolation. So I would definitely recommend to prioritize compound lifts, because not only are you going to be working more than one muscle group at a time, but that's also a good way and an indication of keeping track of your strength. So, and it also cuts the time in half. So if I'm focusing on compound lifts, I'm getting more out of my workout instead of me doing one compound lift versus me doing 3 different isolation exercises. You can kind of see the time difference. If I do 3 different isolation exercises, that's going to take me maybe like 15-20 minutes, versus if I do a compound lift of like 4 sets, that might take me 10 tops. So
gotcha.
It just saves the time, and you're working more than one muscle group at a time.
Now, does it matter to people if they say, well, okay, bench press, I get it's a compound movement because I get to hit everything, but I don't have access to a bench? Or push-ups going to do the same thing for them? Yeah,
push-ups definitely will. Obviously, there's a limit because it's strictly your body weight, versus a bench press. You can throw on as much weight as you either want or enough weight that'll challenge you. So push-ups are definitely beneficial. I do push-ups every day. I do try to do 100, you know. But
Superstar. Straight through?
No, not straight through. Just periodically throughout the day, like wake up in the morning, might knock out 25, and then throughout the day might do another 20, might do 10 here, 15 here.
That's smart. Just fit them in.
Yeah, so you don't got to do them all at once, especially if you're someone who's just starting out, because, you know, that's going to be super hard.
Yeah. Now, is there a compound movement that you recommend more for men than you do for women, and vice versa? How would that formula change?
For men, I would say your compound lifts you should be focusing on are definitely the bench press, military press, or overhead press, and deadlifting. I say that because as a man, the most attractive parts on a man's body are going to be your chest, your shoulders, well, at least for most people, and arms. So those are going to, bench press is obviously going to work on your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. And then deadlift. A deadlift is very controversial. Some people classify it as a leg movement. Some people classify it as a back movement. But in reality, it's really a full body movement. You got to use your full body in order to get the bar up in general. So deadlifts are really beneficial as far as like packing on, you know, that lean muscle that's good size in a shorter amount of time, versus just doing a whole list of isolation exercises again. But yeah, so as a man, I definitely think bench press, overhead press, and deadlift. For women, compound lifts, I would say most women want to grow their glutes and their legs. So obviously
peach season, man.
Yeah, peach season. Squats, hip thrusts, glute bridges, things like that. Or if you're a girl who's interested in having a strong upper body, again, there's nothing wrong with focusing on the bench. There's nothing wrong with getting stronger at the overhead press, you know? So, because there's some women that, like, I know personally that are like, they don't even want to touch upper body because, you know, they don't want to have they think that they're going to have that bulky look. But then there's some women who are like, oh man, I can't wait to go shoulder press some 35s or something. So.
Okay, gotcha. So we got compound movements, basic exercises for people, men focusing on chest press, overhead / military press, and then
deadlifts.
And then women typically focusing on squats, deadlifts, or hip thrusts.
Yeah, hip thrusts, glute bridges. It's essentially the same thing, but people call them different things.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, those are really key ones, I would say. And not only will they help you put on like a good amount of lean muscle and all that in a short amount of time, but they're also beginner friendly. You know, like I'm not going to say easy to learn, but they're super, like it's simple. It's something you can catch on quickly with just a little bit of practice and consistency.
Gotcha.
So.
The last thing I probably want to bring up is injuries, which is something that people are afraid of a lot. So obviously things happen and sometimes you do everything right and something could still pop. But what's some key advice that you want to give to people about how to reduce your ability to get injured as much as possible? Some of the big things that you've seen.
First and foremost, stretch. You know, like before your workout, I'm not saying you have to dedicate 20 minutes into a deep stretch, but warm up. A lot of people would just go in the gym and like hop on the bench press and try to throw on 225 pounds. It's like you're going to destroy yourself. So, you don't have to warm up for 20 minutes. Take 10 minutes, do a nice thorough warm up, get your body warm, get the blood flow going. And even before you get into your working sets, take a couple sets and just do warm-up sets. Like, for example, if you're doing the bench press, don't throw any weight on. Just use the bar. Take maybe 2 sets, do 5 to 8 reps just to get the blood flow going, get the muscle pumping, get it warm. And then also stretch after. It's important. If you exercise and you don't stretch after, you'll notice you'll get tight. Your mobility starts getting limited, so that's important. And then if you do that, if you don't stretch consistently over time, now you're continuing to work out, your mobility is becoming more and more limited. So that's just going to increase your risk to being injured. And also ego lifting. I see it all the time, man. It's like there's nothing wrong with lowering the weight. I say it all the time to my clients, especially, like I would rather you be able to complete your set with better form instead of sacrificing the last 2 or 3 reps just to get the weight up. Because it's like, what's the point of that? Because now if you injure yourself, you can't work out. So you're losing all that progress you just spent months trying to make. And now you're back at square one. So it's definitely ego lifting. And over time, if you perfect your form, the strength is going to come with it. So it's like, there's really no rush if you think about it. Like if you're first time bench presser and you can only bench the bar, like there's no sense on trying to throw on 35s on each side knowing you can only bench the bar. Because at some point you're going to get to the 35s regardless. It's like, yeah, you might look around and see guys with 3 plates on, and I get it could be a little intimidating, but, everybody's a beginner at some point.
Really fast. Define ego lifting for some people.
Ego lifting is essentially lifting more weight than you know that you can handle and having bad form while doing it. So, for example, like I said, let's say deadlift. Let's say you can only deadlift 135 pounds, which is a 45 on each side, but you're one of those guys who comes in and tries to throw on 2 plates and you pick the weight up and it's like your back is completely like this. So it's like your whole lumbar region, like your lower back, like that is just at risk to be completely destroyed. Like your vertebrae, like it's bad. So I would recommend just starting on a weight that will still challenge you, but something where you can keep the form. And then from there, you're going to get stronger over time. So with the form comes the weight. So,
and this has been the benefit of a personal trainer is that if you have no experience, nothing wrong with that, lifting, just to be able to have someone there telling you how to get the form right, like we were talking about in the gym earlier, that's going to set you up in the future, because even if it doesn't work out for your personal trainer, finances, time, whatever, getting that form down right correctly so you can catch yourself when you do these compound movements, bench press, deadlift, and whatever, to know, are my knees correct? Is my back in the right position? Are my shoulders back? Whatever it is. Just remember that is going to set you up so much well in the future. Yeah. So you can catch yourself if you try to hump over or you're adding too much weight. Oh, my shoulders are in the right spot, therefore I need to lower the weight.
Exactly.
That is so huge.
That's 100% right. And then again, to keep furthering my point, over time, as you get the movement down and you become more advanced at it and get a better understanding, you're going to get stronger. Like there's no, again, what you said earlier, it's a marathon. Fitness is a marathon. Like you're not going to get your results overnight. So it's like understanding that, why not just take the time to learn the fundamentals? Because the strength is going to come. The weight is going to come. When I first started working out, I was only able to bench the bar and tens on each side. I was 165 pounds, you know, like I didn't have any muscle on me. So and I can only rep that for maybe, I think like 5 reps. But it's like now, 2 years later, my max bench is 270 pounds.
Man, so, that's how. So people get that because they hear, oh, I can bench 270. They may not know what that actually looks like. So is that 1 rep max? Is that with the spotter? Is that 10 reps? How is that?
270 pounds. It's I was going for a 1 rep max, but I repped it twice, and I did have a spotter. But 225, you know, like the standard 2 plates, I can rep that about 8 or 9 times. So
all right,
yeah,
that's a big thing I think a lot of guys miss on is if someone says, hey, I can bench 250.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a difference.
They just assume, oh, you can do 10 250.
Yeah,
wow, I need somewhere to get to that. No,
I'm not doing 270 for 10 reps.
Gotcha. Yeah, so when people say, oh, I can bench 250, especially guys, it's okay, that's probably 1 rep max, and I got a spotter here helping me get it up, and it's pretty stressful, but I did it so I can say I bench 275.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference in benching it versus repping it. So as far as 225, which is your standard 2 plates on each side, like I said, I can rep it about 8 or 9 times, but the 270, I was going for my 1 rep max, like I said, but I ended up doing it twice. So I felt better about that.
What's your goal right on that one, on your bench?
Honestly, I don't really have a specific number that I'm trying to hit. My main goal is really just hypertrophy at this point. I do train for strength as well. Like the program that I have that I'm training currently, it's a mix of both. So it's like on 1 week, it might be hypertrophy focused, and then the next week it'll be strength focused. So, or even during the week, like the first couple of days might be hypertrophy, and then the next might be strength. Or even on certain workouts, it'll be a little bit of both. I'll start off with my strength training because, you know, those are going to be heavier, so I'm going to do those first while I have the energy for it. And then after my hypertrophy exercises, like the isolation stuff, I save that for last because, you know, by then you don't really need to go super crazy on weight.
And then doing it that way where you're splitting strength and hypertrophy, does it make it more easier or effective to work out the same muscle, let's say chest, twice in a week? Like maybe Monday I do chest strength and I go for that. And then Wednesday I do chest hypertrophy versus Monday hypertrophy chest, Wednesday hypertrophy chest, Thursday hypertrophy. It's like you're splitting up. So does that make it more effective?
It's definitely different and it's more effective because if you're training hypertrophy for chest 3 times a week, it's like you're not really giving your body the full amount of time it needs to actually recover. So it's like you're constantly just putting your chest under that stress and that tension. So I definitely think it's important to, you know, prioritize both because it's important. Like, yeah, it's cool to look good, but, you know, you still want to be strong at the same time. So both are definitely important.
That's awesome. Well, Don, this has been a great episode. As you can tell, time flies when we're having a good time and all the information comes out. That's the beauty of doing these kinds of podcasts. Is that it just starts flowing. You probably didn't catch it, but almost at every episode, about the 45-minute mark, everything just opens up and you start getting more comfortable. It flows better.
Yeah, I noticed that because at first I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous. This was my first time on a podcast, but this experience honestly has been amazing. So.
Well, thank you, man. And it's built. This is why I have to do a long form because if I came in here for half an hour and said, "Here's Q&A session," we would barely be breaking the ice, and then we'd already be done. So you have to do it long form to get trust built. And this is why I don't do Zoom. I got to have you in person so you can build that relationship with somebody. But it's been a great episode, Don. So how can people find you, and what services do you offer for everybody?
You guys can find me on Instagram. I'm in the process of trying to branch out more on other social media apps, but my main focus is Instagram. If you're looking to contact me, my Instagram name is Don Lee Fit, DonLeeFit. The services I offer, so whether it's in person or online, I offer the same services, but obviously the training styles are different. So with me, we'll be working on weekly check-ins. If we do in person, we have an in-body scan at the gym I work at. So it tests like your body fat, muscle mass, bone density, all of that.
Is that the DEXA?
it's similar to a DEXA, but it's called an in-body scan. So it's essentially the same thing, just different brand names or
Got
whatever.
it.
But
And where is your gym located for everybody? And what gym is it called?
It's called Fear Training. It's located in San Leandro, California. I am a personal trainer, and I work under one of the dopest mentors in the Bay Area. So Marcos has been amazing. Like, since I came to his gym, he's been a really good person to me. He's been a really good mentor, a really good friend. He's put me on a lot of game as far as like ways that I can improve my business. So shout out to you, Marcos. You're amazing. You've been a great help. Like, my business has improved a lot. And just these last few weeks, honestly, just some of the tips he's given me, you know, like conversations we've had on the side, things like that, things I could work on. So he's been a really big help. But yeah, just wanted to give him a quick shout out.
That's awesome. So we can find you on Instagram at Don Lee Fit, and I'll put the link in the description so we can just make it easy and click on it. And you're at the Fear Training Gym in San Leandro. And the address is what again?
Oh man, I don't know it off the right of.
And I'll put it in the description because I don't know it either.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Either way, San Leandro. And if somebody says, "Hey, I listened to this podcast. This guy Don sounds like somebody I want to work with," but they live in Chicago or something, how does your online program or this app you're talking about, how does that work?
Oh man, so if you're in a different state and you are interested in working with me, what you can do is go into my Instagram page. I have a link in my bio, which will take you to my Calendly link. Click on the day and time that works for you, and then from there we'll hop on a Zoom call or FaceTime video if you're comfortable giving me your phone number. From there, we go more into depth about your goals, talk about your goals, where you want to be, get to know, like you said, get to build a relationship with each other, kind of get more familiar with each other, and then talk more about my services and what I offer as well.
Me sitting down and having a conversation with Don for nearly 2 hours now, you get to see who the person is, what his upbringing is, what he offers, the clientele that he works with, which is something you don't get with a lot of personal trainers. Sometimes you just see an Instagram post and say yay or nay, but really you want to know what the person believes in. You want to know if they're a right fit for you, because this could be a great personal trainer over here, but it doesn't work with, he or she doesn't work with your goals or doesn't have the time. But you got somebody here who's local, especially if you're in the Bay Area, that maybe you can relate to a little bit more. And you're like, I just want to work with him because he seems like he's somebody that knows what I want in my body, in my fitness goals, whatever it is. So it's something to keep in mind when you're in the market for personal trainers. But that's great stuff, Don. I'll make sure to get that out there. Right. Anybody who's watching, if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it to people who you believe are going to get value out of this episode. And if you're listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of the other podcasting hosts, please leave me a comment and also share it. That's how this information gets out there. That's how the podcast grows. So thank you, Don, again for coming out. It was a great time, and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity again. You know, like I said, it means a lot. I understand you're a busy man. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you decided to give me this chance. So it's very humbling. So again, thank you. I appreciate you and your time because I know it's valuable.
I appreciate it, Don. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Have a good day.
Yes, sir.